A squat grey building of only 34 stories. Over the main entrance the words Central London Hatchery and Conditioning Centre, and in a shield the World State's motto Community, Identity, Stability. The enormous dome on the ground floor faced towards the north, cold for all the summer beyond the plains, for all the tropical heat of the room itself. A harsh thin light glared through the windows, hungrily seeking some draped lay figure, some pallid shape of academic goose flesh, but finding the glass a nickel and bleakly shining porcelain of the laboratory. Wintriness responded to wintriness. The overalls of the workers were white, their hands gloved with a pale corpse-colored rubber. The light was frozen dead, a ghost. Only from the yellow barrels of the microscope did it borrow a certain rich and living substance, lying along the polished tubes like butter streak after luscious streak in long recession down the work tables. And this, said the director, opening the door, is the fertilizing room. Bent over the instruments, 300 fertilizers were plunged as the director of hatcheries and conditioning entered the room. In the sick, scarcely breathing silence, the absent-minded soliloquizing hum or whistle of absorbed concentration. A troop of newly arrived students, very young, pink and callow, followed nervously, rather abjectly, at the director's heels. Each of them carried a notebook in which, whenever the great man spoke, he desperately scribbled straight from the horse's mouth. It was a rare privilege. The DHC for Central London always made a point of personally conducting his students round the various departments. Just to give you a general idea, he would explain to them, for of course some course or sort of general idea they must have if they were to do their work intelligently, though as little of none if they were to be good and happy members of society as possible. For particulars, as everyone knows, make for virtue and happiness. Generalities are intellectually necessary evils, not philosophers, but freight sowers and stamp collectors compose the backbone of society. Tomorrow, he would add, smiling at them with a slightly menacing geniality, you will be settling down to serious work. You won't have time for generalities. Meanwhile, it was a privilege straight from the horse's mouth into the notebook. The boy scribbled like mad, tall and rather thin, but upright. The director advanced into the room. He had a long chin and big, rather prominent teeth, just covered when he was not talking by his full, floridly curved lips. Old, young, 30, 50, 50, 55. It was hard to say, and anyhow the questions didn't arise. And in this year of stability, AF 632, it didn't occur to you to ask it. I shall begin at the beginning, said the DHC, and the more zealous students recorded his intention in their notebooks. Begin at the beginning. These, he waved his hands, are incubators, and opening an insulated door, he showed them racks upon racks of numbered test tubes. The weak supply of ova kept, he explained, at blood heat, whereas the male gametes, and here he opened another door, they have to be kept at 35 instead of 37. Full blood heat sterilizers, rams wrapped in thermogen beget no lambs. Still leaning against the incubators, he gave them, while the pencils scurried illegibly across the pages, A brief description of more modern fertilizing process spoke first, of course, of its surgical introduction, the operation undergone voluntarily for the good of society, not to mention the fact that it carries a bonus amounting to 6 months' salary, continued with some account of the technique for preserving the excised ovary alive and actively developing, passed on to a consideration of optimum temperature, salinity, viscosity, referred to a liquor in which the detached and ripened eggs were kept, and leading his charges to the work tables, actually showed them how the liquor was drawn off from the test tube, how it was let out drop by drop on its specially warmed slides of the microscope, how the eggs which it contained were inspected for abnormalities and counted and transferred to a porous receptacle, how and he now took them to watch the operation. This receptacle was immersed in a warm bouillon containing free swimming spermatozoa at a minimum concentration of 100,000 per cubic centimeter, he insisted. How after 10 minutes the container was lifted out of the liquor and its contents re-examined, and how if any of the eggs remained unfertilized, it was again immersed, and if necessary, yet again, how the fertilized ova went back to the incubators where the alphas and betas remained until definitely bottled, while the gammas, deltas, epsilons were brought out again only after 36 hours to undergo Bokanovsky's process. Bokanovsky's process, repeated the director, and the students underlined the words in their little notebook.